We often dismiss play as something children do to pass the time. But in reality, play is one of the purest forms of communication. Through play, kids can express what words can't capture, and it can also become a powerful tool for healing. My name is Stori, and this is And How Does That Make You Feel? Today, we are dissecting play therapy. What is it? What makes it different? Useful, even. And of course, because here at And How Does That Make You Feel? We're all about the practicality of it all. So we'll discuss how we can incorporate play into our own lives because beyond its impactful use in the lives of children, we as big kids can use play for a variety of things. Things like getting away from people pleasing. We'll talk about that. Our guest today is Katie Lear, a counselor, play therapist, and drama therapist who specializes in anxiety and OCD treatment for kids and teens. As a New Yorker, Katie began her career working with children in Harlem and the South Bronx before moving to the Charlotte area and opening up her private practice in 2018. She's also the founder of Young Dragon Slayers, an online company that uses, get this, the creativity and structure of Dungeons and Dragons. Yes, D&D, to help kids and teens build friendships and practice social emotional skills. Katie is the author of A Parent's Guide to Managing Childhood Grief, which was featured in the New York Times. And her commentary on mental health has appeared in Parents, Business Insider, and National Geographic. As always, if you enjoyed today's episode, remember to like, comment, share the episode. Give us a sub or a follow if you're listening outside of YouTube. I am super, super excited for you to hear this conversation, whether you're a parent, a caregiver, a fun aunt or uncle, or just curious about reconnecting with your own inner child. This episode will show you how play can be a powerful doorway to healing. Let's jump in. All right, Katie, welcome.
Thank you so much.
And How Does That Make You Feel? Are you ready to play?
I am ready to play. I am psyched.
Ready to have fun, ready to do the things. So, two things.
Mhm.
First, one of the reasons I'm really excited to have you here is because Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know if I told you this in the email, but like that is on my bucket list to play.
Is it really?
It's on my bucket list because I'm a Pisces.
Yeah.
Daydreamaholic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always daydreaming, thinking about things, and I feel like I would be really good at D&D.
Yeah.
And then when I heard therapy mixed in with D&D, I'm like, oh, two of my favorite things. Well, pending one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
I'm like, how in the world are we combining these two things to be this therapeutic kind of modality, I guess, for kids?
Mhm.
So that's one reason. Super excited to have you here. Two, when it comes to like, I don't know, like the guy who cut you off in the middle of the road or like the person who's cussing you out, I'm like, okay, I always think about that. Like they were kids one day. They were little kids.
Yes.
And which is crazy. And then you think to yourself, what in the world in their childhood, in their teenage years led to this moment? I mean, we're humans, so sometimes, you do get angry, but I feel like, as we grow older, a lot of the healing content is geared towards adults, which makes sense because number one, adults are consuming the content. But two, there's a lot of unpacking and unlearning and, learning about emotional regulation, learning about attachment styles. And so I'm always wondering, like, if as a society, we keep doing that sort of content geared towards adults, but also start thinking about the ways we can start incorporating some of that, like where it all starts at the beginning, the childhood.
Yeah.
Like the therapeutic things that we can do, teaching kids emotional regulation. And if a child is going through something traumatic or even like, bullying or having a hard time making friends, understanding like, oh, I can help support them in other ways like play therapy.
Yeah.
So, and I always wondered for you, because you're a mom
Mm-hmm.
and you have so much knowledge and expertise, if you too start including some of that expertise with your own kid.
Yeah. I would like to say that it like really transfers over and that I'm doing like amazing parenting all of the time. Unfortunately, I have to say it has not. It
Oh,
has
okay.
not been that way.
Uh-huh.
But it has given me a lot more empathy for parents now that there is such a difference between working with a child for 50 minutes a week, or, back in my pre-therapist days, I worked as a nanny for years. And so working with kids for 8 hours a day, and the constant around the clock grind of parenting, where there are no breaks. You are there 24/7.
Yeah.
You are there when you're sick. You're there when they're sick. You are there always. And when it is your own kid and you are in that relationship, it is almost like you have blinders on a little bit. And it is harder to access the skills, even if intellectually you know that they are there. So you will see me, like if you are a client and you are in my town at the farmer's market with my 4-year-olds, crashing out on the ground. Like it happens
Yeah.
to me also.
Uh-huh.
And there are times where even when I know the skills, in the moment I'm like, man, I don't know which one. Like, I don't know what's going to work. So
Is it like a capacity thing too? Like,
yeah.
because like you said, it's 24/7.
Yeah.
So it's like, do I even have the capacity right now to engage in those?
It's a huge part of it. Yeah. Like, of course, there are times where I feel like I'm really nailing it, or I feel like, oh, we've got some potentially stressful event coming up and I've come up with like a really playful scenario to help us prep. Like, there are days where I'm like, yeah, like I've got this, right? But there are also times where when you are the one that is in it with your kid, so much of therapy is about having the third party observer watching your pattern as an outsider. And when you're in it, even when you know the common patterns, sometimes it can be harder to recognize. Like, oh, we are doing that thing again and again. Or, oh, I did respond in a way that's going to make this, worse instead of better.
Yeah.
When you are the one in that relationship with your kid, it's almost like a dance, right? And it's harder sometimes to know.
Yeah.
Without the outsider. So even therapists children's therapists will often, if they are struggling, seek outside help from somebody who doesn't have all of the baggage and who can kind of be a third party watching the situation. So yes and no. Like, yes, you have more skills, but it doesn't always mean that you're going to nail it every time.
But I love what you said about having that therapist, that third party,
Yeah.
because I like to think of my therapist and all therapists as just one other member of your community. And we always say it takes a village, right, for the kids. And I want to take time to say thank you so much for the work that you do with being that community member that is helping kids, because they are, I feel like, a very underrepresented group. For sure. Just children.
Yeah.
I want to hear more about your journey and your story, from what made you decide to be a therapist to what made you decide to work with kids. So how did you get here?
Not in like a linear way.
Okay.
It was not like I woke up as a little kid and was like, when I grow up, I'm going to be a play therapist who does Dungeons and Dragons with children. That was like not the original trajectory. I was a super anxious kid. I think saw a therapist for the first time when I was 3. I was seeing a play therapist at that time for anxiety and nightmares at night. So my career in therapy as like a patient or a client started pretty early. I was diagnosed with OCD at 7. So that was a big part of my life and something really difficult to handle. And I had parents who were really trying their hardest, really doing their best, trying really hard to find me help. And I had some really great experiences in therapy and some really not so awesome experiences in therapy. And at that time, the knowledge about what really was helpful for OCD in particular had not fully trickled down into the kind of therapists that are doing like face-to-face work with kids in small towns, right? Like the research was there, but it had not yet kind of made it to the therapists that were doing frontline work. So I didn't get a lot of the tools and techniques that we would use today in therapy with kids with OCD. We were kind of just like winging it with what we had. So that was a real struggle for me, and often something that made me feel not good enough, like I wasn't doing well enough in school, like I did not fit in. And therapy helped a lot. But the other thing that was really a saving grace for me in school was theater. I was a huge theater kid. So that was where I felt like I belonged. That was where I felt like I was good at something. I was good for something. I was part of a community that cared whether I showed up or not. And it was a way to express feelings and work through feelings that were big in a safe, appropriate environment. So it was huge for me. So I ended up majoring in theater in undergrad because this was such a central force in my life. So that was what my undergrad degree is in. I have a BFA from NYU. I, did all of this sort of like downtown weird theater stuff for like
Yeah.
10 years. And while I was in school, had to confront a lot of my OCD, which was germ related. Because if you've ever been in
Okay.
like an acting studio or a dance studio,
Mm-hmm.
dirty,
Very.
dirty, sweaty people
Mhm.
passing shared water bottles around. It was like a nightmare scenario for me, but I had to get through it. And so exposure is one of the big tools we use nowadays with OCD, is facing the things that scare you, which I had not been taught earlier. And I sort of accidentally exposure therapied myself through this program, and my symptoms got a lot better. So, I was out doing the thing for a while in New York, and eventually had kind of like lost the taste for auditioning and for continuing to grind. Like, I was mostly nannying. I was not sure how I was going to be able to raise a family on like my nanny budget and lifestyle.
Yeah.
But I had also monetized my hobby in a way that really changed my relationship with it. And so I was trying to figure out what my next steps were. What did I want to do with my life? And the one place that I was still really feeling excited about theater was drama therapy. I had started working with a drama therapy company that was doing theater-based work in mental health settings, like inpatient psych hospitals, homeless shelters, schools around New York City. And that work was really exciting to me. So that was sort of the back door that ultimately led me into going back to school for a counseling master's in my late 20s. So I think I always knew I wanted to work with kids. Like, that's really been a through line of my life. And in my first couple of internship placements, I was working with adults, and I would just like I had a fine time. Like, my
Yeah.
clients were wonderful, but I would like look across the lobby to where the kids were going into their kids therapy and be like, it'd be really nice to be there. But you really nailed it. Like, one of the things that's so satisfying about children's therapy is it almost feels like preventive medicine sometimes,
Yeah.
in a way that so much of what we think of therapy is adults coming into therapy to lie on a couch and talk about the formative things that happened in their childhood that they're still struggling with now. And wouldn't it be nice if we could get a time machine and go back and intervene in that moment and maybe make some of this stuff easier
Right.
to handle, right? So when you're starting so young, it's almost like, if even if you're moving the needle this much and changing things this much, it could really affect the trajectory of somebody's life, because they're going to take that with them
Yeah.
into the future. So it is like a very satisfying part of it.
It's like giving the kids already those tools. Because, I mean, life happens, so we
Yeah.
can't prevent everything.
Correct.
But they would have so many more tools
Yeah.
to grow up as big kids.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we're all very still, that inner child that we
Yeah.
talk about, or that inner teenager, have those tools to meet themselves. And kudos to your parents for
Cool. Yeah.
doing all they could.
Yeah.
So you were in play therapy at 3 years
Yeah.
old. You said you had anxiety. Was that anxiety showing up at 3?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty intense. Yeah, I was also a kid that did not sleep through the night, I think, until like age 5. So they were going through it. Like,
Yeah.
my parents were like not having an awesome time. So I think that they acknowledged that they could really use some help.
Yeah.
So like some of the help we got was really great, but then I think it also left some gaps in some areas as well. So like that's been really interesting for me to look back at too, of like, yeah, in some ways this was really useful. And I also really wish that we had gotten X, Y, or Z when I was younger.
Yeah. And then with when you were doing your, in theater, you said that there was a drama group that went and did drama therapy. So this
Yeah.
isn't new.
No, yeah. Like drama therapy has been a thing for decades. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I think if you really think about any activity that people use therapeutically in their own lives, whether that's drama, whether that's art, whether that is horseback riding, whether that is yoga, you will find people who have tried to take that activity and identify what's most therapeutic about it and adapt it to therapy, because there is something that's inherently therapeutic about a lot of these hobbies and a lot of these ways of expressing yourself. So that's one of the fun things for me too about therapy, is that if there is something that you love as an individual, there is almost always a modality that matches that can help you use that thing you already love to help other people.
For you, when you went back to school, is like drama therapy or play therapy its own sort of sphere?
Yeah, like you can
Okay.
get formal training in both. So I went to a regular counseling program that licenses you to become a mental health counselor. So that's my
Mm.
like license that allows me to practice, that would allow me to take health insurance, that allows me to hang out my shingle and say, hello, I'm providing therapy, like come on in. But I also got post grad training in drama therapy and play therapy, which was almost like a second master's. Like the amount
Yeah.
of
Hmm.
coursework you have to take for the two of those combined was pretty intense. So,
And they're different.
and they're different. There's some overlap. So
Okay.
some of the courses that I did would count for both, because especially when you're working with children, a lot of drama therapy is play, is
Hmm.
imaginative and creative play. So there was a little bit of overlap, but yeah, a lot that was separate.
Okay. So can you tell us the difference
Yeah.
between play therapy and
Yeah.
drama therapy?
For sure. So I would say the most basic idea behind play therapy is that children naturally learn about the world, make sense of themselves, understand what's happening around them through play. So there's this very classic, like often quoted line among play therapists from a guy named Jacques Piaget that says, play is a child's language and toys are a child's words. So that's kind of like probably in a
Mm.
nutshell
Yeah.
the theory behind a lot of play therapy, that as adults, we are verbal processors, right? It is not
Mm.
hard for you and I to sit down like this and talk about what's going on for us.
Right.
Children are not necessarily developmentally at that stage yet.
Okay.
Children are doing a lot of their processing through action and through play. So if you've ever seen a kid do the same scenario in their play over and over and over again, right?
Mhm.
Maybe for days or weeks, or they see a scene in a movie they love and they act it out 20 times, or something happens in their family, like a baby is born and they are acting out babies being born for
Mm.
weeks on end.
Mhm.
You're seeing, in a way, a child naturally doing what we try to cultivate in play therapy, which is they're achieving mastery over an idea. That by repeating through play, they are understanding it from different perspectives, giving themselves more time to process the event, exploring what it would feel like to play different roles. So in play therapy, rather than just relying on talk, we are giving kids the opportunity to explore and express non-verbally through
Mhm.
play. So this is especially helpful for younger kids like 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds who might not yet have the capacity to sit and speak. And even if they did, may not be ready to verbalize their feelings yet. So most play therapy includes bringing a child into a therapeutic room that has been set up with toys that have some amount of like therapeutic potential. So you're not going to see a lot of screens, you're not going to see a lot of electronics, you're going to see a lot of very old school traditional toys,
Okay.
and allowing the child to move at their own pace and direct a lot of the session on their own. So like
Hmm.
even within play therapy, there are many styles.
Yeah.
And like on one end of the spectrum is what we call like child-centered play therapy, where the therapist is really following the lead of the child through play. And in those situations, the kid comes into the playroom, they play with what they want. The therapist uses their own skills to support that play and then also to interpret what they're seeing.
Okay.
But then you may also see more specialized forms of play therapy for different diagnoses that might require a little bit more direction from the therapist. So the idea is that as kids are playing, consciously or not, if you are observing their play, especially over time, you will start to see themes emerge that help you understand the way that they're thinking about the world or the way that they're processing events of their lives,
Mm.
almost in the same way that people might analyze dreams with adults, that
Yeah.
you're sort of seeing a glimpse into that child's unconscious or their experience of the world through
Mhm.
play. And then another thing I really like about play therapy is we can also use metaphors in play to approach issues that might be too big or too overwhelming to tackle head on. It's a gentler way of speaking to things that might be harder to talk about with a slight remove. So that's play therapy. Drama therapy is a similar idea in that it's a belief that there's something inherently therapeutic about performance and taking on a role. So
Hmm.
play therapy includes all different kinds of play. In drama, we are primarily interested in role play.
Role play, okay.
Yeah, in acting out scenarios, in taking on characters and exploring yourself through taking on the role of somebody else. So there's this idea in therapy of something called a projective technique. And projection, like you've probably heard before, people be like,
Right.
oh, you're projecting, like stop projecting, right?
Right.
It's often seen as like a negative thing, like, oh, like you're,
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's like, oh,
yes,
don't project on
don't
me.
project, right?
Yeah.
It's like a defense mechanism to project, but like defense mechanisms serve very valuable purposes. Like they help us get
Yeah.
through life. Projection can be a really healthy thing. And anytime you are writing a story, creating a character, developing a piece of art, or, making puppets talk to each other, it is an act of projection. You are taking a part of yourself and you're putting it onto this outside thing, right?
Right.
Even if I am talking through a puppet, it's still me coming up with what the puppet says. So it's still a part of me. Or even if I'm playing the role of a villain and I'm saying really mean stuff and I'm being really aggressive and different than my day-to-day self, I'm still drawing on my own emotions to do that. So it's like you're taking a part of yourself and putting it outside.
It's like a mirror.
Like a mirror. Yeah, exactly. And that is a way to sometimes try out new ways of being, try out new ways of handling situations, and kind of give yourself permission to do things that you might not otherwise do because it's not
you.
not you, right? It's not you, but it is you in an environment where the stakes are fairly low because it's not real life.
And I bet it helps with the shame of something or the judgment.
Yes.
Like this is like a safe space for me to be whatever version.
You have permission. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, somebody has given you the opportunity to be the bad guy or to be the superhero or whatever because it's allowed in that space.
Yeah. And I like that, like I said, the shame part. I feel like shame, that emotion stunts a lot. Even with me processing my own emotions. If I don't like that I'm feeling a certain emotion, I'll just be like, oh, I'm not feeling that. Like, like just wave it away, which obviously I know makes it worse.
Sure. Yeah. Sometimes we got to get through the day, but eventually you do want to come back around and be like, okay, what was
the problem, Katie, is I don't go back.
That
so
is,
I need to go back.
That is the problem.
So with play therapy, you spoke about how, as the child is playing, it's, you're seeing the pattern.
Yeah.
I always wonder if when kids are playing, is there always something to be interpreted from what they're doing? Or sometimes is it just play?
This is a great question. I feel like anytime a child is immersed in imaginative play, or sometimes we'll call it like symbolic play, like if a child is having a toy be something, right, and acting it out, symbolic play, I feel like there is some benefit there. Like children are learning, children are processing emotions. I feel there's always something good happening when my child is playing. If my child is immersed with toys and doing imaginative play, I don't say anything. I don't come in, I'm like, this is great, my work here is done. Like he is working through what he needs to work through at this time. But I do think you also have to be really careful about reading into every single detail of what a child is seeing. For example, if a child comes into my office and acts out some super violent scene some week that is new to me or jarring, it would be tempting to say, oh my gosh, like something must have happened at home, or they've experienced a trauma, or, whatever. It is also possible that that child just watched K-pop Demon Hunters and they really liked it and they are acting out that scene. Right?
What is this K-pop? I keep hearing about it.
We could do a whole podcast on K-pop.
Oh my gosh. I need to research this now. This is the second time it's come up this week.
It has taken over my home life. It has taken over my professional life. It is everywhere. Okay. It is everywhere. It's fun. I'll
look it up.
I think it's worth it.
Okay.
It's PG. It's fine for kids.
It doesn't sound PG, but apparently it is kids friend. Like,
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It was not what I'd expected it to be. I had a great time. But like, yeah. So like if you've seen an action sequence that you think is really cool, you may be really interested in acting that out, and you might do it once or twice and never again. And like the themes don't necessarily mean what you think they mean at first. Like you have to give yourself time to explore the why behind a behavior. So is it possible that that kid just thought that was cool? Do they want to feel powerful like Rumi, the lead in K-pop Demon Hunters, did? Or is what you're seeing something that they are acting out that they saw at home? right?
Mhm.
That takes some nuance and some time to figure out. So yes, like I think there's always something a kid is doing, but it's not necessarily always like as deep as you think
Yeah.
it is, if that makes sense.
Right. No, like, 'cause the dream thing. I was
Yeah.
thinking, I love that you made that connection
Yeah.
because sometimes I like to think, well, like, why did I dream that?
Right.
And sometimes there's no reason, really.
No,
There's no
no.
reason I dreamt I was Nicki Minaj.
Maybe there's some wish fulfillment. Maybe it'd be fun to be Nicki
Maybe,
Minaj, but
maybe
right?
it'd be fun to be Nicki,
But sometimes it is just processing the events of the day, right?
Yeah.
Or sometimes you're just kind of assimilating the knowledge that you've learned, or somebody mentioned Nicki Minaj and so she just happened to be there. You're right that sometimes it's kind of like,
yeah.
probably nothing significant, right?
Mhm.
So there's plenty of that. And to me, when I see themes start to emerge again and again and again and again in a playroom, that is when I start to get curious about what's behind that for that kid.
And then with the drama therapy, you mentioned it being like a mirror.
Yeah.
So could you give a scenario, like how would someone, like what would be the result, or what would be, because I'm thinking about, like you said, like, oh, you're going to role play the villain.
Mm-hmm.
What are they trying to work out in that, for example?
So there is, I think the example I would probably use is there's this concept in drama therapy called role theory.
Okay.
And the idea behind role theory is that everybody is kind of performing all of the time. That you and I right now are playing a role that is different than what we will play when we go home to our families, which is different than who we might be if we were, out at a bar, right, at 10 o'clock at night with our friends. Like, I'm not the same person in my therapy life that I am at home.
Right.
We're always kind of being different versions of ourselves depending on who we're around. And that is like normal and appropriate. And that in role theory, if you are restricted to a very small number of roles, it might affect your sense of well-being. That if you are lacking different ways of relating to people, or if you are cut off from different ways of being, that can cause distress or make it difficult for you in relationships if you feel like you're constantly stuck in the same role. And so in role theory, they will have, there's like a series of like archetypal characters, and they will have you play around with embodying like kind of stereotypical characters that feel different from you, that feel different from what you usually do, to see if there's anything there that you can bring back to your day-to-day life. Can you expand your options for relating to other people by taking on these roles that feel really different? So there's this hope that skills that you're learning in role play or ways of interacting generalize to your day-to-day life. So like for me, the drama therapy work that I do these days really is my D&D work. And so that's kind of where we see it in D&D, is like, are you able to explore ways of interacting in game that you can then generalize to outside? Like, can you broaden your role repertoire or broaden your set of social skills, right? And through practice in a make-believe setting, start to utilize those skills in real life.
Because you mentioned that, like, expanding.
Yeah.
And that if you don't have that, that can affect your well-being. What are ways that shows up for people?
Ooh, so I'm thinking about like people pleasers, right? If you are
Okay.
always in like the nurturing role, the mom role, the helper role, it might be really hard for you to be the kind of person who sets boundaries, right? Who says no to stuff, who prioritizes their own things, who speaks up when they don't feel okay with something. So it could be, if you are in kind of a drama therapy modality, fun to play a role that is all about that. That is the boss, that is the person who calls the shots, that is the person who's not the helper, right? Who's the taker.
Yeah.
Right? And then do you find a way to bridge the gap between those two things so that you're not losing one skill set, you're just adding another way of being. Yeah.
And that is such a fun way to work through that.
Yeah.
Because, in therapy, like even with me, I'm like, I want to not be such a people pleaser. But that's through, traditional talk therapy.
Yeah.
I never thought about I could use drama to help.
So when you start your D&D campaign,
Yeah.
perhaps we're looking at like a barbarian, we're looking at a fighter, we're looking at a tank, we're looking at the person who takes no prisoners. Like maybe you get to play around with being that character, right?
And is a reflection done after Like you do the role of like, okay, how did you feel?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, so that's always a big part, I feel like, of any of these, whether it's play, whether it's drama. One of the things that sets like drama therapy apart from just drama
Mm-hmm.
itself is like, how are you processing that afterwards? Like, to what extent are you talking about it or reflecting on it
Mm-hmm.
or integrating what you've learned? Yeah.
I definitely want to now try drama
You
therapy
should. Yeah.
because so one thing, this is very transparent, but
Hmm.
I've always thought, with this podcast, I'm like, I want to show a little bit more of myself
Hmm.
because, like you said, I feel like I'm playing a role, which isn't
Hmm.
always bad.
Yeah.
Like we do code switch sometimes at
Yeah.
work, and I'm like, I want to get a bit looser, feel
Yeah.
like more like myself. And she's like, well, you should try improv. I'm like, yeah, I should try improv. That
Yeah.
would be super fun because you can't be you have to get out of the idea that this is cringe.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
can't.
it
There's
just
no.
will be cringe. It
It
just
just
will be really
will.
cringe. I will say, when I was in the drama therapy group, like, there was this thing where as soon as it was observed by an outsider, like the magic of it just like totally deflated and it would become the cringiest thing you'd ever seen. Like we would
Yeah.
do these shows for the public and I was like, oh no. Like
So,
I don't, you don't need to see this. When you are in the room and you are in it and it is
mhm,
like you are seeing the work in front of you, it's like the most magical, profound thing that's ever happened in your life. And then the
mhm.
moment it's on a stage with people watching, you're like, it just isn't the same.
Yeah, but you just.
But yes, permission to be cringe, I feel like, is a huge part of it.
What did she say? I follow a TikToker, Teffy, and I think she said something like, first is cringe, then it's iconic. And that's just what I live my life on now. Like, first is cringe, but then it's going to be iconic.
I feel like some of my stuff just stays cringe,
Just
and I've just reached a level of acceptance of like that's
But
where I will
that's
remain,
so freeing, though.
and that's fine.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I saw like another like Instagram reel that was like, oh yeah, like on your deathbed, nobody's gonna be like talking about how cringe you were. Like they'll
Mhm.
probably be talking about other stuff. So like if you
Yeah.
are, maybe that's
Just
fine.
do it.
Yeah.
I mean, the cringe people are making money as well and living life. And
That is true.
I definitely think, with the improv, I thought about how it would give me a chance to connect with that inner child in me that did love to daydream and just role play.
Yeah.
And I'll always say, like, when I had my solo trip in Mexico, the funnest part was the sandboarding
Mm-hmm.
because I don't remember the last time that I was able to just like fall down
Yes.
and
Yes.
scrape and get hurt. Like, people think that's funny, but I was like, no, that was a fun.
Yeah,
that,
when was the last time that any of those people, yeah, were doing like rough and tumble play,
I was
right?
just tumbling all over the
Yeah.
place like a
Yeah.
kid again.
Yeah.
Do you think, because I know this is very kid focused, which is fine, that adults in any aspect
Yep.
can benefit from a drama therapy? We talked a
Yeah.
little bit about in play therapy.
Yeah. I would say most of the drama therapists that I personally know are
Mhm.
doing work with teens and adults. There are many adult drama therapists that focus exclusively on working with adults. So that is absolutely a thing. And I am sure that there are even play therapists who are modifying their work to work in adult settings. But I do think that, yeah, as we age, our opportunities for play in life just get narrower and narrower and narrower. And even just our opportunities to participate in hobbies that bring us joy tend to get less and less and less. And I can think of so many people I know at my age who, especially post having kids, are having to sit down and be like, what is fun? Like,
No, for
what
real.
is fun?
Yeah.
Like, what do I like to do for fun? Because at some point it all fell away from me. Like, I
Yeah.
had all the hobbies and then I went to school and then I got a job and now I have this kid and now I kind of have time in my life again for
Mhm.
me, but I don't even know what to do with it because when was the last time I had fun, right? And so often in those cases, like the place you want to look is, yeah, what were you doing as a kid? And can
Yeah.
you bring that back into life? So yeah, I do think even adults need some outlet for play, and the number of socially acceptable outlets for play are kind of narrow.
Very, and it's
Yeah.
disheartening. And I
Yeah.
think it's a bit of why I feel like a role player. I'm like, no, I want to have fun and
Yeah.
connect with that inner child. Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Is this a form of drama therapy?
I feel that it is.
Okay.
I feel that it is. And I think increasingly it is kind of being recognized in that way. Like it kind of lives at an intersection of like, if there was like a Venn diagram of like play therapy, drama therapy, like it's it's in the mix with both. Like, I think it could fall under either
Okay.
umbrella. But for me, since you're playing a role, it does feel like it is part of the drama therapy extended universe. Yeah.
And how do you use it? Because you have your Young Dragon Slayers
Yeah.
therapist group or kids group.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how you even chose Dungeons and Dragons?
Yes. Yeah.
And then how you're utilizing it to help kids and teenagers.
So I am not an amazing Dungeons and Dragons player. So like that'll be like the first confession I put out here is it is not a game that I am like excellent at. I am like an enthusiastic intermediate player.
Okay.
Like the world's
Which is enough. You have the
D&D
heart.
player. Yeah. In a way, it's been helpful for me because I'm like, I can't do the theater thing again where I take the thing that like I value most in life and like let capitalism change it.
Okay.
So I started out playing D&D when I moved to Davidson. I live here in the Charlotte area, and I had moved here from New York City. So it was like a very big life change for me. I left, my whole friend group behind, moved here not knowing anybody, and was really just saying yes to like any social invitation that I received because I needed to meet people. As a theater person, I'd also been kind of like vaguely interested in D&D as a thing, but I assumed that it involved a lot of math or that it was mostly a game for men. So when I got invited to play, I was like, this is my chance. Like, let's see if this is fun. Quickly realized it is a game for theater people. It is like, yes, there's math, but it's also role play and storytelling and like very interactive in that way. And it became very clear to me, like, this is a great way to make friends. If you are looking to make friends with other people, this is a cool way to bypass small talk and all of the kind of surface level exchanges that you usually have to do to kind of dig deeper into a friendship. Everybody has a job to do when you're in D&D. Your character has skills. They have strengths and weaknesses. You have a shared mission. So there's like a reason to be there and talk to these other people.
Yeah.
You get to know people in a really different way. You're seeing the same small group week after week. You have this sense of accomplishment when you succeed at your mission together. And you have that plausible deniability where if you do say something awkward or if you do mess something up, like it was your character, like it wasn't you. It wasn't you, right? So if the character is awkward, it's not this direct reflection on you having said the wrong thing. So I thought that was really cool. I was like, man, I could really see the therapeutic potential here. And then I filed it away because I was too busy opening my practice and doing other stuff. I was like, that's a cool thought for another time. And then COVID happened and my whole therapy practice moved online for the first time. And I specialize in anxiety, and for the first time was seeing just this wave of depression come through my caseload. Depressed kids, extremely isolated kids. Basically, if you were a kid who did not have a solid friend group going into COVID, it was a very scary time. It was hard for everybody, but I think for kids who had an established friend group where they were doing the FaceTime calls, they were playing Minecraft together, they were doing the like drive-by birthday parties and everything, it was easier. But if you were the kid who was relying on the nice kid who sat next to you in math class to say hi, or the lunch lady who would always smile at you, like if those people were the people that were getting your social needs met, it was hard because you did not have those friends that you felt like you could reach out to. So I started joking then, like, man, I wish I could just like prescribe D&D to some of these kids because our group moved online. It's an easy game to play online. And it was such a nice, predictable part of my own week during that very weird time period of like, I know I have this thing I can do on Zoom where I'm going to see my friends in a real way and play. And then I was like, oh, I'm in private practice now. Like I could prescribe D&D and like, who could stop me? Like, I could just
free will.
I could just do that. So we got a group of 6 local girls together, which was cool because it's a very male dominated game, but we happened to get 6 girls. I tapped a friend of mine from my own D&D campaign who is a great dungeon master who like facilitates the games because I'm a mediocre player. And he handled the storytelling part and I handled the therapeutic part. And we would talk after sessions about what we wanted to do next week. It was supposed to be a 6-session group. So meet 6 times and then we're done forever. And at the end of the 6 weeks, the girls were like, do we have to stop playing?
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess not. Like, if you want to keep coming, like we could keep it going. Like, what do we got going on? Like this quarantine is longer than we thought it would be. And at least one of those players is still with us. It's been 6 years now. We've gone from that one group to, I think we're running 26 groups this upcoming term.
26. Wow.
We have kids from across the country. We have children who play internationally, kids from all different walks of life. It's really cool. And because of that growth, they are no longer therapy games in the way that they were when I started, when it was just our 6 local kids, partially because of licensing reasons. Like I cannot practice without a license. So we are not working as directly on skills as we were in those early days where I was present in every session and every kid had a treatment plan. But what I have found is that the most therapeutic elements of the game to me are the things that are kind of baked into the actual gameplay, and that kids are still seeing real benefits that are generalizing to their day-to-day lives just by virtue of playing this game with peers and making connections with those other kids.
When it was a therapeutic thing, what did you, if you can tell, what did you see come out of that, like the benefits of it for them?
Yeah. So this is actually an example from our original group that started as more of a therapy group and then transitioned more into like educational and recreational stuff. They did a campaign at one point. A campaign is like a D&D storyline. You call it like one story arc is like your campaign.
I was going to say like promotion.
The lingo. Their campaign. They did a campaign that where they were all playing children of fairy tale characters, so kind of like a Descendants style, like
very Descendant,
right? Like everybody was like the child of one of like the grim fairy tale characters, and so somebody was playing a character that was the son of Prince Charming, and so they called him like a himbo. They're like, this is our like himbo character.
Oh my gosh, I haven't heard that word in forever.
Listen, this was a few years ago, and they started as tweens, and they are now very much like high schoolers. So like we've really been on a journey in this group. So they had this guy, right, who was like Prince Charming's son, and this is a group of primarily girls, right, playing this game. And he became kind of this mascot for like charisma, for, you know, being socially confident, for, you know, being flirty, and like having just tons and tons and tons of confidence when you walk into a room. And I heard these players start to say like, oh, I asked somebody out at school this week, I channeled my inner Clyde. Like he became this like thing that they could all access.
Oh my God, like an alter ego.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
like a Sasha Fierce,
right? Like,
to Beyonce.
I feel like he almost started out as a joke or like a meme, but then he like became this real skill set, this real tool of like, we've practiced this enough in here of like, I'm gonna tap into it now, right? Like a little bit of that fake it till you make it kind of a thing. I've also heard from parents that really shy children who are not speaking with their parents a lot at home will often become more verbal after sessions. Like they'll come and tell their parents everything they did or want to talk about the adventure and what their character got to do. And so for some parents, they say like the time my child is most verbal with me is right after they've played. So that's kind of a cool, unexpected, like out of game benefit that I've also heard of.
See, now I'm tying it back to like, when would a parent feel like, okay, yeah, I want to utilize either play therapy or drama therapy for my kid? You mentioned like, okay, kids who may not be as confident at school, not making a lot of friends. We mentioned anxiety. Are there other scenarios that you feel would be like a cue for parents?
For sure. I mean, I think with drama therapy especially, another area that I think really works well with a lot of drama therapeutic techniques is kids looking for social skills development, kids who are looking at, you know, how can I practice turn taking in conversations? How can I practice being more assertive? How can I practice reading other people's emotions and understanding their nonverbal communication? That's kind of what drama therapy is all about, right? Is like reading those nonverbals. And so in a more therapeutic group, like if I was doing straight up D&D therapy, which I will be doing soon, again, I'm excited about it, but like in a real therapy session, you may have a kid come in with a stated goal of like, I want to practice reading other people's nonverbals. And then you can come up with scenarios in game for them to work on that. Or I want to work on public speaking. It's something that's really scary for me. That's an awesome scenario that we can come up with reasons for their character to have to give speeches in game and to practice that skill in a sort of low stakes imaginary setting. So anytime we're in the world of like social emotional learning, social skills, I think that drama therapy can be a great option because you are in a group with peers doing things, like enacting things versus speaking about it intellectually with a therapist one-on-one.
Is it fair to say that like that would include kids who are neurodivergent,
Yeah.
this being like a great alternative.
The Venn diagram between D&D players and neurodivergent players is like a circle.
I mean, I didn't want to say it.
I heard somebody say once it was like a stack of pancakes. Like it's just like D&D, autism, ADHD. It's just like they are on top of each other.
Just all of the mix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, even in these groups that may have some therapeutic benefits but are not outright therapy, I would say about 40% of the children who join us are neurodivergent in some way, whether that's autism, ADHD, OCD. We have plenty of kids who join just because they would like to play the game. And then we also have plenty who are there because they're looking to make friends, socialize, practice some of these like soft skills that are harder to pick up sometimes if you are not wired in a neurotypical way.
For just continue to think about the benefits of like when a parent would say, okay, let's get them, because your parents
Yes.
put you in play therapy
Yes.
when they saw you being very anxious.
Correct. Yeah.
And so outside of that, are there like any life events too that would prompt a parent? Because I think, again, preventative, right? Like if a child is going through, their parents are going through a divorce, would this be something that they could use?
Yeah, I think so, especially when we're talking about young children, kids who may not be at an age where it's realistic for them to go speak to a talk therapist. Anytime you're going through a major life transition where it's going to be hard for a kid to talk about, and you might see those feelings start coming out as behaviors instead, I think that play therapy can be a great option. So divorce, birth of a new baby, death in the family, a big move to a new place, if that is causing difficulties for your child, certainly like separation anxiety, bedtime anxiety, anxiety about potty training or using the bathroom. Those are all things that play therapy can be really great for at young ages.
Yeah, I didn't even think about birth of a new baby. Yeah. That is a big change for a child. Should a parent wait until they see like a shift in that child's behavior, or can they just decide, hey, I know we're going through this big life change. Let me just go ahead and put them in play therapy. Like, what is your recommendation there?
My recommendation personally, and I think people may have different opinions on this, is because you never know how a child is going to receive an event, I think it is okay to wait. That kids can have traumatic experiences happen to them, and depending on their temperament, their level of support, whether or not they've experienced trauma before, that doesn't mean that they will necessarily be traumatized and go on to develop symptoms after that event. Like I have had children in therapy who have had car accidents, very scary things that they've witnessed, where they've had a few weeks of really acute stress and then they kind of return to their baseline. They are resilient, they get through it. That is not a child who necessarily needs therapy at that time to process this, right? But if you are seeing your child continue to struggle, with a transition at that point, I think it's a great idea to look into counseling.
Oh, that's really, I'm glad I asked that question, because I don't have kids, but I always thought, well, maybe I should just go ahead and put them in therapy when something happens. But then again, like you said, sometimes the kid is like, I don't care.
It's also a case-by-case basis too. Like I could imagine that if you know that you are going to be separating from your spouse and that is going to be a huge event in the life of any child, right? That's going to be a big thing for anyone. And it might be nice to have a therapist there to help you as the parent guide those conversations and make decisions for your child through that process that prioritize their emotions. In those cases, absolutely. Maybe you want to start therapy beforehand and be proactive if you can. But if it's something that's more gray, like birth of a new sibling or a new move, I do think it's okay just to wait. Yeah.
So what is in a playroom? Like what's happening?
Yes.
if this is a parent's first time or they want to, like what can that parent expect?
I think you can expect to see a lot of really familiar toys that you likely have in your own home or could imagine having in your own home. Like certainly there are games that are very specific to certain therapy goals and like cool things that you can have as a therapist that are like therapeutic, but like the bread and butter of play therapy are old school, non-electronic, not super interactive toys that are open-ended and allow a child to play in a variety of ways. So I've brought some.
Let's should we bring out the table now?
We can if we want to just take them out and set them up so that then it's like there.
Yeah,
we
let's
can
bring out
do
the
that.
table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have brought a handful of things from my own home. So I have brought stuff from my house that would also be stuff that you could find in a play therapy room. Because I'm hoping we can also show parents a few kind of play therapy adjacent techniques that they can use without having to buy more stuff, which none of us need. So typically when a therapist is stocking a playroom, even if as a parent you're looking at it and you're like, it's just toys, there are some categories of toys that we want to make sure we have in the room so that if we're thinking about this like a child's language, they have a broad vocabulary to draw from when they walk in. So those categories are nurturing toys, real life toys, creative expression, and aggression toys. So when we think about like a nurturing toy, right, we are thinking about things that allow children to show care, right? Taking care of things. So baby dolls, babies are a huge one. Play kitchens with tea sets and play food where you're making food and feeding other people is another example of a nurturing toy. Baby bottles, stuffed animals that you're snuggling, anything that involves care and caretaking is really helpful to include in the playroom. You want to give kids an opportunity to express that nurturing, both because it can be nice for them to step into that role and because sometimes children will nurture their baby doll in a way that they would like to be nurtured themselves. I've also occasionally seen kids pick up the bottle and the pacifier and like use it on themselves for their own nurturing, but like nurturing toys is a really important aspect of play.
Love that.
You also want to have like toys for creative expression, and like this is going to be like your paints, your crayons, your Play-Doh, anything that allows you to do art and art making, giving kids chances to express themselves in an imaginative way. So dress up clothes would also be a great one to have in most playrooms. So any kind of artistic expression is like another avenue that you want to include. So you'll often see like an easel in a play therapy office. You might see a little sandbox that comes with like miniature items where you can create scenes in the sand. That's more of a like therapy side of the spectrum item, but the idea is the same, that you are creating art or doing expression. As far as aggression in the playroom goes, you want ways for children to vent anger safely. It is an okay feeling to have. It is normal to feel aggressive at times or to show that aggression. And so you want toys that allow kids to release that. So you might see punching bags, punching mitts, foam swords, aggressive animals, right? So like, a dinosaur puppet that can bite people is like often used. So this started in my playroom, and then my son brought it home because he wanted to be able to bite things at home. so he's been
safe
at home.
Biting.
Safe, exactly. Safe biting, right? So toys that allow children to express that feeling in a way that is still safe and appropriate. So that could even mean things like paper that you can rip up, egg cartons that you can crumple, Play-Doh that you can smash. Sometimes these toys will fall into different categories, but it's safe ways for children to release that. And then real life toys is anything that lets kids act out adult activities. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen kids play, but like pretending to mop the floor, pretending to wash dishes,
the
doing
vacuum.
things. The vacuum stuff that is not fun to us is very fun to kids. So things like cash registers, play money, play phones, stuff that allow them to reenact things that they're seeing in their daily life are also important. So I've brought in like race cars for that, like, driving, or you will often see doctor's kits in a play therapy office because that is such a central part of kids' lives. That could be a nurturing toy, but it could also be a way to act out anxiety about seeing the doctor yourself. So I have a whole lot in here, but I think those are the 4 like big categories that you really want to see in a playroom is like aggression, creative play, nurturing, and real life.
And so how would you, or how could a parent?
Do this
and I
at
could
home.
be a kid if you need me to be.
Right. So like presuming you already have the stuff, right? Like I think most of us have got crayons, dolls,
Right.
puppets. I've got magnetiles in here, right? Like these kind of open-ended non-electronic toys are really all you need, and you don't need tons at home to do this with your kid. Like actually, there's research that shows that children who have a smaller number of toys do more focused, deeper play than kids who have a whole lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Parents, throw the toys away.
Throw the toys away. Like send them to Goodwill. Like this is your
Get rid of
permission,
them.
right? It is a
Yeah.
struggle for me too. Like
Mhm.
they appear in my house. The toys just keep coming,
They
but
just come out of, yeah.
you don't necessarily need them. Like actually sometimes having fewer toys pushes kids to be more creative with what they have because they don't have an exact fit for every single thing they want.
That makes sense, yeah.
So when I have kids in my playroom, often one of the reasons they're coming is because they're having behavioral difficulties at home. They are tantruming, they are whining, they are hitting their siblings, like behavior concerns are big. So there is a kind of therapy called PCIT, parent-child interaction therapy, that uses play therapy and then also brings in some like behavior strategies to help parents do some of this work at home with their own children on their own time. And so I like to teach the first part of that sequence to most of my parents. Just because so many kids have these behavioral struggles. And a common concern that I hear from a lot of my parents is like, I just don't know how to play with my kid. It doesn't come naturally to me. I sit there and I don't know what to do. They bring out the doll and I'm like, like they're like, this is just not
awkward.
right. Like, what do I do? So in those cases, these skills that I'm going to tell you about are called the P.R.I.D.E skills, which is like how you remember the different skills. They're sort of like the bread and butter play therapy tools that if you do nothing else, you can rely on these kind of techniques in the playroom to encourage your child to play in a therapeutic way. And then also they are intended to strengthen the parent-child relationship, to improve your relationship with your child by connecting through play. So the P.R.I.D.E skills are praise, reflect, imitate, describe, and enjoy.
Okay.
P.R.I.D.E.
Pride.
Therapists
So,
love,
praise,
reflect, imitate, describe,
and then enjoy. Okay.
We love a like acronym in therapy.
Easy to remember.
So many of them.
Yeah.
So the first one is praise. So a lot of times children who are doing things at home, like whining, tantruming, hitting their siblings, whatever, are in a pattern where that is a behavior that is getting them a lot of attention from mom and dad. And kids who feel like they are, pigeonholed into the role of the bad kid may continue to rely on those behaviors as a way to get attention because it feels like that's the way that works for them. And families can get into these cycles where, when the kids are doing well and not fighting, you're like, thank goodness I can finish my coffee and like scroll Instagram for a second in peace. And then when one kid hits the other, you look into the room and you say,
now you're paying.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
What kids are accidentally learning in that moment sometimes is nobody cares when I'm good. They only care when I'm bad. And that's like very subconscious, but like, like kids learn like this behavior gets a rise out of the people around me. Like it is effective.
Yeah.
So in those situations specifically, at home, you want to be looking for opportunities to call out good behavior. So the P.R.I.D.E skills are intended to be used for short periods of time. You are not walking around all day doing this with your kids. You will go crazy. They will go crazy. The idea is that you are setting aside an intentional 10 minutes or 15 minutes a day to sit and play with your child and use these skills in a concentrated way at that time. And then you can forget about them and live your life the rest of the time. You don't always have to be engaging in this way. It would be exhausting and not helpful. So if we are using praise, we are calling things out in the moment that we like to see. Like, Stori, I love to see how quietly you are sitting in your chair. It is so nice how carefully you're playing with the doll. I love that gentle voice that you're using, like really calling out behavior that might be hard for kids at other times, because when they're receiving one-on-one attention from a parent, they are likely behaving really well, like especially when they're picking an activity in play. So that's like praise. Reflecting is kind of almost saying back to a child what they have just said to you. So if you are not sure what to say next, it is always okay to kind of pass the baton back to your child. And in this 10 minutes of play, we really do want things to be child-led. So as much as possible, you are letting them direct where the play goes and you are following their lead versus imposing your own ideas. So if the child that is with me said like, we're taking our toys to the mall. Like, let's make the dolls go to the mall. I'm not going to say, actually, I want to go to the movie theater instead. I'm going to be like, we're going to the mall, right? Like, we're going to the mall. So if you don't know what else to say, repeating what you have heard shows the child you've heard them, and it almost gives them permission to speak again. So if they say, that car is really big, you can say, wow, it's really big, right?
Yeah.
Or if they say, like, everybody get in the car, you can say, we're getting in the car, like, off we go. You're reflecting back what you're hearing from them, and allowing them to then take the lead and say more. It's encouraging them to speak more. Imitating is a similar idea. When children imitate the people around them, it is like a sign of love and respect. It's a sign that they want to be like you, right? They want to imitate their big siblings. They want to imitate mom and dad. So if you don't know what to do during that 10 minutes of play, you do what the kid is doing. If their car is going around the racetrack, you take your car and you put it around the racetrack. If their doll is getting ready to go to the mall, your doll is getting ready to go to the mall. You imitate what they are doing in play, which also gives them the sense of getting to be in control in that moment and shows that you respect what they're doing. Describing, I think this is like a hard one for parents and therapists to get used to doing. This is narrating what you are seeing happen in the play. So if you imagine being a sportscaster who's calling a game, I'm not a sports person, but like talking about the ball going down the field, right? Talking about what you see the players doing. It's that idea. You are describing the actions your child is taking. Like, you are being so careful stacking up that block tower, or that red car is going really fast. You are picking out just the right clothes for that doll to wear. Everybody's loading into the car. You're making a bunch of little circles on your paper. You're saying out loud what you're seeing the child do, which shows that you're paying attention. And I have found it also helps kids stay with an activity longer. It's almost like a mindfulness thing where when they hear you narrating, I have found that kids tend to stay longer with their activity versus moving quickly to something else. So that one feels a little less natural sometimes, which is also why we don't want to be doing this all day long. Like, you do not need to follow your kid around being like, you're putting the Barbies in the Barbie house. Like, no, like, that's,
You picked up the red block.
you picked up the red block is something you might say during this 10 minutes, but all day, no longer helpful, right?
Yeah.
But helps you really stay mindful, and also helps them stay mindful, and they know that you see what they're doing.
Very grounding.
Grounding, yeah. So I have found, especially with my kids who are high energy, maybe struggle with focus, really move quickly from activity to activity, describing, we also sometimes call it like tracking in the playroom, describing what you see them doing really helps them kind of slow down and stick with it and engage more before just kind of moving on to the next thing. So yeah, it is a good grounding practice. And then enjoy is showing warmth, showing that you really are happy to be there, expressing that you love being with your kid, smiling, right? Not being on your phone, really giving your undivided attention in that 10 minutes, 15 minutes, however long you have, to convey that this is something that is meaningful to you too, that you are enjoying and delighting in being with your kid in that 10 minutes of time. So praise, reflect, imitate, describe, enjoy. If you do nothing else, 10 minutes of that a day is helping your child get into that mindset of self-directed, open-ended play, and is allowing you to connect and bond by kind of joining their world with them versus imposing your own stuff onto their play.
So is there anything they should not do during this time?
During this time, should not do. We should try not to criticize, right? We should try not to correct. We should try not to go against what a child is doing. As much as possible, we want this to be a 10 minutes where they are experiencing some control, because kids do not have a lot of agency and control in their lives, right? In some ways, as parents, we are bending over backwards to make everything happen for them.
Right.
And so it feels like they have all the control. But on a practical level, they're not picking bedtime. They don't choose where they're going to school. A lot of their day is highly structured and regimented by adults, which can lead some kids to feel like they need more power and agency in life. So we can give that to them in these moments of like, this is actually a safe time for you to call the shots and do what you want. So if my child is, stacking up the blocks, I'm not going to knock them down unless that's the game we're playing. Or if my child says, I want us to go with our, stuffed animals to the beach, I'm not going to say, we did the beach yesterday. Like, can we go somewhere else today? It is their time.
What about if a kid is like has the baby doll and is like banging the baby doll, are you like, just let them?
That's a good one. So sometimes if I'm in my play therapy office and it's not our 10 minutes of special mommy child bonding time, I will let the kid bang the doll as long as we're not like permanently damaging the doll, because that is a safe place to let out that feeling.
Aggression.
Yes.
Because I was thinking of like that the dragon is like the safe aggression, but then sometimes with the nurturing, they could go aggressive.
They can go aggressive. You know, if you've got that new baby at home, I would rather you smash the doll baby here, right, than let that anger out on new sibling at home.
Yeah.
In that 10 minutes of special playtime, we do generally want to steer kids towards more nurturing play. So like I typically, if I were trying to do this play at home or have a parent do this at home, I would probably not be putting out as many of those aggression toys, just because we're trying to move things in like a more warm and fuzzy place just for that 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So if it were me, I might start doing some describing that was like, ooh, that looks like it really hurts. Like, wow, like that really hurts the doll, and see where that leads things. And as long as a child was like regulated and I didn't feel like they were spinning out into like a meltdown situation, I might remove my attention from that and get interested in something else that we had set out versus actively try to correct it.
Okay.
If that makes sense. But
yeah, that does.
Yeah. But generally speaking, in a therapy session, that would be an okay use of the toy for most therapists.
So for the parents, we talk about the P.R.I.D.E. So if they don't know how to engage in play, they can rely on those things. And you said just for like 10 to 15 minutes a day.
Exactly.
Don't criticize.
Yeah.
Not a lot of intervening, like, let's do this instead.
Right.
Anything else?
I would say I would let go of feeling a pressure to do it perfectly. That really, even if you didn't do any of these skills and you just sat down and did 10 minutes of sitting on the floor with your kid, interactive playing a day, that is going to have benefits to them. Like just
Can
that
you
alone.
talk about those benefits? Because we talked about just the bonding part.
Yeah. If you have a child who is acting out at home, who is tantruming, who is kind of doing what we would call these like negative attention seeking behaviors, like the sighing, the huffing and puffing, the rolling of the eyes, the, you know, oppositional, whatever. A lot of times unconsciously we fall into a pattern of kind of expecting that behavior from kids, or feeling like we're spending a lot of the day correcting their bad behavior, right? Like I think we've all been there as parents of like, oh gosh, like all I've done today is tell this kid not to do things. So it's almost like we're spending all of our time watering a plant that we don't want to grow. Like we're putting all of our attention and our energy towards these behaviors that we wish we were seeing less of. And there's no time to have this more positive relationship with our kids. So even just carving out that time to have a positive experience of a child who's been stuck in a rut of being the naughty kid or the bad kid, you're likely to see benefits, because we're breaking that cycle for them of, you know, we're just always having to correct. We're just always having to talk about the bad stuff. We are setting aside a time where we are giving them an opportunity to succeed, and like filling that attention bucket with like positive energy first.
Which I know would be so helpful for parents.
Yes.
Especially with back to school starting and things.
When I say like only 10 minutes, like as a parent, 10 minutes can be a lot of time some days. Like, all you need is 10 minutes. Like that is a precious amount of time. So I would also say that sometimes when I assign this kind of a skill to parents, they'll come back the next week and be like, we call it like special playtime often. They'll be like, we had an amazing special playtime. We went to the museum, and then we went to the park, and then we had lunch together. We spent the whole day together. And I'm like, that is so cool. It's also so not sustainable. Like it doesn't have to be all day. It shouldn't. Like you can sit and draw for 10 minutes. You can sit and have your older tween child, you know, show you their makeup collection for 10 minutes. You can, you know, walk the dog for 10 minutes and play a game with your child. And all of these things are still worthwhile. Like I almost want to find like the minimum viable thing that is consistent daily versus the big thing that you can only do every once in a while.
Yeah. Consistency.
Yeah.
For such a short period of time. Can I hold the dog?
Of course you can. Yes.
I'm just in my inner child. Like I just want to hold it.
He's great. Yeah. He's a good guy.
Maybe my future kid will look like this.
Yes. Yes, you could. Listen, it's a great, I think that doll came to our house before our son came to our house. So
Really?
he
This is your
predates.
first kid?
That's my first child.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was not the one that we practiced all of the like baby wearing stuff on because he was too small. But like, yeah, he was sort of like hanging out waiting.
And
Waiting
don't
for my
worry
kid.
to the elders. I got his head.
You
Don't
got
worry.
the heads. Yeah, the neck support, you're doing
Doing
great.
the neck support.
Absolutely. Well, and that's like another thing too, is that I do have parents ask if boys would benefit from dolls at home or if like boys would benefit from dolls in the
Yeah.
playroom. I cannot tell you how many little boys I have make a beeline for the baby doll or for the dollhouse when they come into my office.
Yeah.
And I do think that it's a great thing for all kids to be able to have access to nurturing play, right? If we want boys to grow up to be nurturing dads, nurturing partners, have the capacity to feel empathy and to care, we should let them. We should let them practice those skills when they're little.
And it's very important.
Yeah.
Especially Western society, the way that boys are conditioned.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God, give them a baby doll.
Give them a baby doll. Yes.
Let them nurture the baby doll.
Let them have access. And if they don't play with it, you don't have to stress about it. It doesn't say anything about them. And if they do play with it, it's great. You don't have to stress about it. It doesn't say anything about them, but give them the option to explore it, right? Like thinking back to that idea of like a broader vocabulary, I think providing visual spatial toys for girls who often don't get access to like the Legos, the blocks, the kinetic, you know, whatever.
Yeah, they have the race cars.
Yes,
and yeah.
Give them those. Let boys have access to these more nurturing and imaginative toys. And even if the girl is only dipping into those toys 5% of the time, or your boy is only picking up the baby doll, you know, once every few weeks, you're still letting them expand their range of what they can express and feel like that's an okay thing to do.
Thank you so much for just giving parents 10 minutes a day, what they can do to help their kid, bonding, correcting behaviors. Like I said, we're going back to school now, so I'm sure like there's a lot of anxiousness and
yes,
and things going on there, and most importantly to like what not to do during these 10 minutes of play. Play is such a powerful thing. Healing, giving kids the tools to emotionally regulate, to communicate. I can only imagine how frustrating it is to have these feelings and not know how to express them.
Absolutely.
What is one thing that you would like to let parents know? And it can be related to play or not.
Yeah.
Just one message that you have for parents or for people.
Yeah.
Based on your line of work.
I would say, you know, in the realm of play therapy, I think all of us parents today have access to an amount of information that like no previous parenting generation has had, right? Like my parents had a few books that they had to walk to a bookstore to get. They did not have the entire internet with like hundreds and hundreds of influencers whose only job is to give parenting advice. Which is great. It's great to have access to that information, but it's also like a fire hose. And I think it can really, really, really stress parents out, feeling like every single word that they say or every action they do has this make or break effect on their kid. Like we've kind of entered this realm of like hyper intensive parenting. And I think we're getting out of it a little bit, but like this sense of I need a script for every interaction. I need the exact words to say, and that any single moment where I fall short with my kid could affect them for the rest of their lives. Like we're understanding that our children's mental health is important, but to this place where it feels like every interaction is so like loaded. I would love to give parents permission to screw it up sometimes, that you will always have another chance at a conversation. Issues with children in their lives are like a revolving door that they're going to revisit again and again. So if you feel like you didn't quite nail it in this one moment, you are going to have another chance. Like you are going to have that window of opportunity open again to try again. And it is very, very, very rare that there is one singular moment that is a make or break moment psychologically for kids. And so I think letting go of that pressure as a parent to feel like you have to scrutinize every interaction will
like
probably
everything's so heavy.
Benefit you as a parent. Like it's okay to sometimes just be phoning it in. It's okay to sometimes be caught on your phone. It's okay to sometimes be like, that wasn't the most empathic way I could have worded it, right? It doesn't always have to be a teaching moment. And it's all about long-term trends and, you know, who are you most of the time versus any one singular interaction.
I will say, as someone who isn't a parent, but like
Yeah.
would love to be one day, that was helpful for me because
You're not going to destroy your kid's attachment
I
if
was
they
like,
cry
oh my
for 20 minutes one time. You're not going to destroy their attachment if
yeah.
you didn't baby wear them X number of hours, or if you
Mhm.
don't adequately
Mhm.
reflect their feelings in a moment. Like we are talking broad trends over
Yeah.
time with children.
Like they can have the iPad for an extra hour.
One day, yeah, like we haven't just like rewired their brain. Like,
Mhm.
of course, we want to move more toward imaginative stuff, reducing screen time, all of these things that we know are good. But like, yeah, like it's not.
But that's
Yeah.
really like, I was like, oh, my biggest fear
Yes.
of being a mom is I know that for the longest period of time, they have me.
Yeah.
Like I'm setting the
Yes.
patterns, I'm
Yes.
setting the communication,
Yes. It's all you.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, you're the central person in their life. Yeah. Well, so then another way of thinking about that too is that we have done tons and tons of studies on what really does move the needle for kids in terms of their mental health. What predicts good outcomes? Is it a certain kind of school? Is it food? Is it, a certain kind of home environment? Like, what are the factors? Is it, parenting in a certain style? Consistently, what they have found in these studies is that a lot of these things are kind of a wash. It's hard to really know whether it does or doesn't help. But the one factor that consistently comes out is like, yes, this affects whether or not your child is anxious. Yes, this affects whether or not your child has good mental health outcomes, is parental stress and especially maternal stress. If you as a mom are stressed out and feeling overextended and feeling like you are, extended beyond your capacity to cope, we know that affects kids negatively. And so anything you can do to reduce your own stress, even if that means we're not doing the most intensive parenting, or perhaps they did watch the iPad a little today, or you invested in your own therapy first, all of those things help your kid. Anything you do to help yourself, we know has a direct relationship on how your child is going to do in the world.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Do you think it's nurture or nature?
Both. It's both.
Yeah.
It's both. I think if you're a parent who has like a really awesome, super regulated, really well-behaved kid, you're probably inclined to be like, it's nurture, man. I did that.
It was all me.
If you have the kid who didn't sleep through the night until they were 5, right? And was raising hell at home, you're probably like, that was nature. I think it's both. I think we all come with the temperament we're going to have. I think we all come with a certain kind of wiring already there. No baby is a blank slate. There are babies that just have much more reactive temperaments than other kids. And then as a parent, your nurture kind of prunes that tree. And you can help coax it to grow in certain directions or be a healthy or unhealthy version of itself. But like fundamentally, we get what we get.
I agree that it has to be both.
It has
like
to be
some
both.
Babies are calm, some babies are not calm,
Are not chill.
But they're babies. Like they didn't
Correct.
go.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess some people say like the birth is traumatic.
Yeah.
But I mean, like,
but then you see siblings where you're like, these siblings are not the same, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Same mom, same dad. Just not the same
Not
kid.
the same. Yes.
Katie, this was great.
Yes.
Thanks
Our special guest.
Yeah. Special guest. What is his name?
So he actually does not have it. I've tried to get my son to name him a lot of times, and he just has not. So he is nameless. Like you could name him if you felt.
Eli.
Eli is a great name. That really just came to you. You were like, this
he feels
is
like
Eli.
an Eli.
Well, welcome Eli. Welcome to the world.
Thank you, Eli, for also joining us, and Katie.
Yeah, thank you.
This has been amazing, and I know parents, caregivers, even me, no kid, I have learned so much. Things that I will definitely incorporate if I ever have a child, even as a fun aunt.
The fun aunts are keeping us going in life, okay? The fun child-free aunt is our greatest like national resource. Yeah.
I can do that with my nieces and nephews. And wow, drama therapy can be another modality to help us do the work internally. Yeah. And I think that is probably the very thing that I'm gonna like go and search right now. Like let's put myself in drama therapy because I want to work on these things. Yeah. Where can people find you?
A couple of places. So for all of my counseling, that is at katielear.com. So I specialize in anxiety and OCD treatment for children tweens and teens, mostly like 8 to 16, roughly.
Mhm.
And I'm also about to start a new D&D therapy group live in person
Exciting,
here in
yeah.
Davidson with another local therapist. So that's going to be super fun. So for that kind of like local in-person therapy work, katielear.com. Our online games are accessible everywhere. So we do have local kids who play. We also have non-local kids who play. So that more educational SEL skill building program is youngdragonslayers.com. You can find us just on our websites. Those are also our handles on YouTube and Instagram, and on Facebook.
Beautiful. And I'll have all of that in the description of the
Yeah.
episode so that people can find you. My very last question for you, Katie, the work you do with kids,
Yeah.
the impact that you make, not only with kids, but adults as well. How does that make you feel?
I evangelize about this profession to people all of the time. Like, I feel like my conversion rate of getting people that I know to go back to school to become counselors is pretty good. Like, I think I've had like 4 success stories at this point of me encouraging other people in my life to go back to school. It is an amazing job. It is an amazing job. It's incredible that you can take things that you love and care about and have a sustainable career that supports your family, that allows you to connect with people and meet people that you otherwise would not have met. It can be stressful, but yeah, I think it is such a unique experience to get to have like every hour of your day is going to be different than the one before it, and that's such a cool thing.
And that is very fitting for a Gemini.
Yes, yes, we crave the novelty. Yeah, especially with kids, you do not know who's walking in the door
Yeah.
on a
Just
given day.
mix it up a little bit.
Mix it up. Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope today's conversation with Katie reminded you that play is so much more than a pastime. It's a language, it's a way of processing, and sometimes the safest place for big feelings to come out. Whether you're a parent, a caregiver, or simply someone reflecting on your own inner child, play has the power to reconnect us with parts of ourselves that we may have set aside. A huge thank you to Katie for sharing her wisdom and heart. If you would like to learn more about her work, I'll have all of her links in the episode description, including where you can check out her book, A Parent's Guide to Managing Childhood Grief. As always, thank you for listening to And How Does It Make You Feel? Like I said in the beginning, if this episode resonated, I'd love for you to share this with a friend, subscribe, or leave a review. It's one of the best ways to support the show and help more people discover these conversations. And I'll leave you with this question to reflect on. What role does play have in your own healing journey right now? And as always, please remember to be kind to yourself.